What is up everybody and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Megan and I'm a travel vlogger. So today by the title, we're going to be talking about the differences between UK lockdown and New Zealand lockdown. So basically before the pandemic I was living in England. Now I had been there for 3 years before the pandemic hit. Now in March 2020 we went into a lockdown. All of England went into lockdown and I ended up staying in lockdown for around 3 to 4 months. By that time I decided it was time to book a flight to come back to New Zealand. So we packed up all of our things, caught a flight out in July and we came back to New Zealand in 2020. Today is 29th of August 2021. New Zealand went into lockdown on the 17th of August 2021 over one COVID case, but it was the Delta variant. So I'm going to be comparing the lockdown that I experienced in England in 2020 to the lockdown I'm experiencing now here in New Zealand in 2021. So the first obvious difference is England is a huge country with over 60 million people compared to New Zealand with only 5 million people. So straight away there are going to be huge differences and different reactions by people and different control levels. So the first time we went into lockdown in England, basically nobody thought that this was real. Everyone was like, oh, it's just a cold, it's a flu, it'll pass. So when England went into the level 4 lockdown, basically everyone was still doing what they wanted to do. I remember seeing pictures of Brighton Beach, which was our local beach at the time. It was completely packed with people. After about 2 or 3 weeks, they actually had to get police in to reinforce the fact that you aren't supposed to be sitting on the beach with 20 of your mates drinking and having a barbecue. So I guess that was one of the biggest differences straight off the bat, was with 60 million people, it's way harder to control than our little population of 5 million. England was still delivering Uber Eats at the time as well, so basically if we wanted fast food and everything like that, we were still able to get it on the Uber Eats app, which was amazing. So technically you aren't supposed to be travelling between the UK at that time because they were in lockdown. You were supposed to stay within your county. Now it was all over the news that people were basically driving from Liverpool and Manchester to come all the way down to like Brighton and Bournemouth to get the best beaches. Now that's about a 7 to 8 hour drive, so some people were leaving at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning so that they could have a good day at the beach. I also think one of the problems was it was summer. We had just had a really harsh winter, so everyone was looking forward to the English, I guess, sun and having a good time. So basically people were driving 7 to 8 hours just to get a good beach day. Have to mention the communication of the government. Boris Johnson didn't really know what to do. He was telling us to go out, not to go out, to stay inside, to not stay inside. It was all kind of wishy-washy, and I know it was the start of the pandemic, but he wasn't making instructions clear at all.
Scaled up testing at a local level, combined with contact tracing.
One of the awesome things that England did during the lockdown was every Thursday at 8 PM we would do something which was called Clap for the NHS, or to celebrate them. So basically at 8 PM on a Thursday night everybody would bang pots and clap and just basically celebrate the amazing job and just to give the NHS that hope and that appreciation from basically everyone in England for being on the front line and doing an amazing job. So that was something that was so awesome. I remember 8 o'clock every Thursday we would hear people with pots and pans and people just completely cheering, and that was your moment and your time to go outside in the window and join in to cheer on the NHS for what an amazing job they were doing. So sometime into the lockdown, protests started to happen, especially in London. Now people were taking trains and things like that just into the London city so they could go and join the protests, not wearing masks, just basically exposing themselves and exposing others. And the protests got worse and worse, and seeing that on the TV, that was a massive difference between New Zealand and England. Obviously, again, it comes down to size and population, but to control 60 million people when you've got 5,000 people protesting, compared to New Zealand's current protest that they happened in Auckland, was basically one person trying to protest. Now, something that I experienced in New Zealand lockdown, which we are currently in, level 4 lockdown means everything is closed. That means only the essential things are open. Supermarkets, petrol stations and pharmacies. Nothing else is open. Now this means that pretty much everyone abides by the rules and stays home. Now yes, again, it is down to population size. We are 5 million, but the government have been incredible. Like the communication from the government, every day at 1 p.m. we get updates about how many community cases we have, about what alert levels are changing, where the cases are from, what they're doing to basically bring the numbers down and contact tracing and all that kind of thing. So I guess the communication from the government has been the biggest thing for me, and the difference so far is that if I want to know how many community cases, or if I want to know what alert level or what they're doing to contain this, basically every day at 1 p.m. you can hop onto the news and just watch, and you can watch for about an hour. Another big difference is obviously New Zealand went into lockdown over one COVID case. Now, for those of you, again, we are such a small population, and I guess one COVID case seems completely stupid, but for us it's huge because we're such a small population. If we allow one COVID case to spread, we are way worse because we are only 5 million people compared to 60 million people. So we did go into lockdown over one Delta COVID case, but that one COVID case, even though Jacinda put us into lockdown that night, has turned into over 500 COVID cases now. Something that's really nice in the New Zealand lockdown is basically everyone's been putting teddies in their windows. Now this is for people on their daily lockdown walk to basically walk past and try and spot the teddies in people's windows. This is a really cool thing for kids who aren't at school, and it's just a thing that kind of cheers you up. So that's a really cool thing as well. Now these are quite similar. I guess the NHS clapping and the teddies, I think that's something very similar that both countries kind of share to kind of like boost everyone and just bring a little bit of joy during this pandemic. So the other difference between New Zealand and the UK is basically that we have no Uber Eats. So in England we were still able to order our favourite fast food, but basically here in New Zealand that means completely nothing. So we have no Uber Eats, no McDonald's, no KFC, all of that kind of thing. So there's been a lot of, you know, things going around on the internet, people saying that when we come out of alert level 4, basically everyone is just going to go to Macca's and KFC to get their favourite fast food. For me personally, when I was living in the UK, we had basically, we were living in a flat, but we didn't have any outdoor space. So we were on the second floor and we didn't have like a wee balcony outside. So another difference I would say is that my home here in New Zealand and a lot of the homes have gardens. So although we are in lockdown, we are still able to go outside and enjoy just being outside in our own homes and without having to wear masks, etc. Whereas in the UK, a lot of the buildings they build up and not out, so not many places that I went to had gardens, so that's another huge difference as well. So I hope I gave you a little bit of insight into what the different lockdowns are like. If you like this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to my channel, and as always guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!